In June of 1814, a column of ash and superheated gas rose from the summit of Mayon Volcano on the island of Luzon and came back down as something the residents of Cagsawa never had time to understand. The town was buried in minutes. Approximately 1,000 people died. The only structure that survived was the bell tower of the Cagsawa church, its top third still visible above the volcanic debris. It stands there today, exactly as the eruption left it, because the Philippine government made a deliberate decision to leave it untouched, not as a ruin, as a warning. That warning is relevant again right now. Mayon is erupting. Lava has already traveled 3.8 kilometers down its primary gully. Pyroclastic density currents, the same category of event that buried Cagsawa, have already been confirmed on its flanks. Nearly 3,000 residents have been evacuated from the 6-kilometer danger zone. 52 villages are currently under ashfall. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology has Mayon locked at alert level 3, meaning magma is confirmed at the surface, lava is actively flowing, and the system has the demonstrated capacity to escalate without warning. The bell tower of Cagsawa has been standing in that ash field for 211 years. Right now, it is the most important piece of infrastructure in the Philippines. Before anything else, you need to understand what a pyroclastic density current actually is, because the term appears in every Mayon report, and almost no coverage explains the physics. When lava accumulates near the summit of a steep stratovolcano like Mayon, it builds up against the cone walls, volcanic rock that is not the dense, stable hard rock of a mountain formed by geological pressure. It is layered, loose, and brittle. As lava continues to pile up, the material becomes gravitationally unstable. Sections break off. When a lava front or accumulated dome collapses, the falling material, hot rock fragments, ash, and superheated gas moving together does not behave like a rockfall. It behaves like a fluid. The resulting current moves down the slope at speeds of 100 to 700 kilometers per hour, depending on the volume of collapse and the gradient of the terrain. Internal temperatures range from 200 to 700 degrees Celsius. The current hugs the ground, filling every gully and channel in its path, and it does not slow at obstacles, it overrides them. You cannot outrun it. In most documented cases, you cannot outrun it in a vehicle either. At Mayon, the danger does not radiate evenly from the summit in a circle. It channels. The Basud Gully, the Bonga Gully, and the Misi Gully are the primary descent paths, deep cuts running from the summit to the lower slopes that function as slides, concentrating and accelerating whatever material enters them. Lava has currently reached 3.8 kilometers down the Basud Gully, 3.2 kilometers down the Bonga Gully, and 1.6 kilometers down the Misi Gully. Those are not the distances the pyroclastic currents would travel if a major collapse event occurred. Those are where the lava is now, before any significant structural failure. The 6-kilometer evacuation zone is not a precaution. It is the calculated minimum survivable distance from the base of those channels given Mayon's documented collapse history. Here is what makes Mayon categorically different from most volcanoes covered in this space, and why the 1814 parallel is not rhetorical. It is data. Mayon has erupted more than 50 times since written records began in the early 1600s. That is not a volcano with a generational eruption cycle. That is a volcano in a state of near continuous geological activity over 4 centuries of documented observation. No other volcano in the Philippines matches that frequency. Most stratovolcanoes in the Ring of Fire erupt on cycles measured in decades or centuries. Mayon erupts on cycles measured in years. The reason is structural. The Philippines sits at the intersection of multiple tectonic plate boundaries in the Western Pacific. The Philippine Sea Plate is being subducted, forced downward beneath the Eurasian Plate along a convergent zone that runs the length of the archipelago. As oceanic crust descends into the mantle, it releases water into the surrounding rock, lowering the melting point and generating magma at depth. That magma rises through fracture zones in the crust, feeding volcanic systems along the entire island chain. Mayon sits directly above one of the most active segments of this subduction system. Its magma supply is not episodic. It is continuous. The volcano is not waking up from dormancy. It is a system that never fully rests, periodically expressing the pressure that the tectonic machine beneath it never stops building. Dr. Raimundo Punongbayan, former director of the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, PHIVOLCS, and one of the foremost researchers on Philippine volcanic systems, described Mayon's behavior in published work as driven by a persistently open conduit, meaning the pathway from the magma chamber to the surface remains partially unobstructed between eruptions. This is what produces both the volcano's extraordinary eruption frequency and its characteristic rapid escalation from apparent quiet to active hazard. A persistently open conduit means there is no pressure buildup phase to detect and measure. The warning window is shorter than it is for volcanoes, where magma must fracture new pathways to the surface. Now, here is the multi-hazard dimension of the current situation that the evacuation numbers alone do not convey. Mayon is not producing one hazard, it is simultaneously producing 6. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology's current hazard assessment lists active rockfalls, volcanic landslides, lava flows down 3 primary gullies, lava fountaining at the summit crater, pyroclastic density currents on the upper flanks, and ashfall across a documented radius covering 52 villages in Albay Province, including Camalig, Guinobatan, Santo Domingo, and parts of Legazpi City. Each of those hazards operates on a different timeline and a different geographic footprint. Lava flows move slowly enough that communities in their direct path have hours to evacuate. Rockfalls move faster. Pyroclastic density currents move faster than a response can be mounted. And ashfall, which is already affecting communities well outside the primary danger zone, produces a secondary hazard category that persists long after the eruptive activity slows. Volcanic ash from Mayon is not the soft particulate of a campfire. It is pulverized rock and glass fragments, sharp-edged at the microscopic level. Inhaled, it causes progressive lung damage. It contaminates water supplies. It collapses roofs when wet. The Philippines receives some of the highest annual rainfall on Earth, and Albay Province sits directly in the typhoon corridor. When heavy rain falls on fresh volcanic ash and loose debris deposited on Mayon's flanks, the material does not stay on the slope. It mobilizes. Lahars, volcanic mudflows, extend the danger window beyond the eruption itself. In 1814, lahar flows continued to reshape the landscape around Mayon for years after the primary eruption. In 1993, when Mayon produced its most deadly modern eruption, killing 77 people, lahars triggered by post-eruption rainfall caused damage and displacement that continued through the following typhoon season. The 52 villages currently under ashfall are not in the lava flow path. They are in the lahar catchment. The eruption does not need to escalate for them to face a serious secondary event. They need a typhoon. Typhoon season in Albay Province is not a distant possibility. It is an annual certainty. Alert level 3 at Mayon means something specific that is worth stating precisely. The PHIVOLCS 5-level alert system defines level 3 as magmatic unrest, with increased tendency toward a hazardous eruption. Magma is confirmed at or near the surface. Lava is actively extruding, and the conduit is open. Level 4 is declared when a hazardous explosive eruption is considered imminent, hours to days away. Level 5 is declared when a hazardous explosive eruption is in progress. Mayon is currently at level 3. It has not been raised to level 4, but the distance between those two levels at a persistently open conduit volcano with Mayon's escalation history is not a comfortable buffer. It is a monitoring gap. In 2018, Mayon's last significant eruptive episode, the volcano moved from level 3 to level 4 in under 48 hours. The evacuation that followed displaced approximately 90,000 people from Albay Province, and it was the largest volcanic evacuation in Philippine history at that point. The current evacuation stands at 3,000. If the alert level moves, that number will not scale linearly, it will jump. And Mayon has a specific documented behavior pattern that PHIVOLCS researchers have noted across multiple eruptive episodes. It looks spectacular before it becomes catastrophic. The glowing lava flows visible at night from the lower slopes are visually striking. They draw observers toward the danger zone rather than away from it. In 1993, a group of researchers and journalists who had moved closer to observe the lava flows were caught in a pyroclastic surge that killed all of them. The same material that generates the imagery people travel to photograph is the material that generates the current running faster than traffic on the access roads. The Cagsawa bell tower has been standing in that ash field since 1814. It was left there deliberately because the people who made that decision understood something about human memory and geological time that press releases and alert level graphics do not fully convey, and it stands as a warning. The volcano does not issue warnings, it issues previews. What is flowing down the Basud Gully right now? What is falling on 52 villages right now? What is being measured and monitored by PHIVOLCS right now? This is the preview. The question the historical record raises is not whether Mayon will escalate. It is whether the people within range of its gullies will be far enough away when it does. 3,000 have moved. The bell tower is still standing in the field where a town used to be. The lahar story, what happens to those 52 ashfall villages when the first major typhoon of the season arrives, is the follow-up this video is pointing toward. The 1993 event established the post-eruption rainfall hazard window clearly enough that PHIVOLCS now maintains separate lahar monitoring infrastructure that operates year-round regardless of eruptive activity. That monitoring system, what it is detecting right now, and what the typhoon season forecast means for Albay Province is the next topic we will cover. If you are watching this from the Philippines or if you have family in Albay Province, the PHIVOLCS hotline is active and the official evacuation guidance is linked in the description. What is happening at Mayon right now is serious, documented, and moving. The alert level is not a ceiling, it is a floor. Drop what you think the most underreported hazard in this event is in the comments. The lahar answer and the ashfall answer are both correct. So is the one about the typhoon corridor.